Good evening, and welcome to this week's episode of the Hearts of Men podcast, hosted by the Empowering Perspective community. We are your hosts for this evening's conversation. My name is Dwayne Dwyer. I go by the Mindset Coach. I am accompanied with my brothers. Right beside me is Mr. Roland Walker, for me as Dr. Phil, and known as the man of many hats. I don't know what he got going on over
Well, that brother looking smooth, man. Leave it on,
there. He
brother.
is,
Leave
man.
it on.
You gonna make me get mine. All right, so
It's like
below us.
I know. I go get mine too.
Below us, we have my brother Christopher McClellan from across the table with Christopher McClellan, also the angry man trying to learn. And beside him is Mr. Garfield Martin, the Uncle Junior himself, who is otherwise known as the consistency coach. Gentlemen, how are you on this evening?
I'm excited.
Strong.
Yes, strong. I love it.
I'm strong.
Yes. And so,
I'm ready.
Ready. I love
ready.
it. I
Man,
love
when
it.
you ain't gonna put the hat back on?
Man, I
can't see
can't see.
that
It's gonna
thing.
block my light.
Okay, yeah.
That's,
Yeah,
that's,
this-
that's, that's a field hat, bro.
Yeah, this for my son, man. When I'm out there not cutting the grass and stuff.
No, you said
Not
not cutting the grass. I ain't mad at that. I am
Oh
not
my
mad. I
God.
gotta use
That's it.
that.
Y'all see what I got to deal with every week? This is
Hey,
awesome. I love
you
it.
Love it.
I
They're
do. I do.
Yeah, they
man.
gonna leave it up.
I look forward
like
to it.
Speedy Gonzalez.
Listen, before we get started, man, I
Yeah,
want to
we
give a
get-
shout out to our brother who's not with us tonight. He has some prior engagements he had to take care of. Brother Tawami Gaddy, he's taking care of his business, but he is sorely missed on this evening. But I believe he would definitely be back with us next week. So y'all don't start stressing. He just got some stuff he got to take care of. You know how people do, man. They miss the available man. We got it. Um, listen, we want to give a special shout out to everybody who's joined us on this evening. Miss Verlene McCoy, welcome. Always good to see you. Crystal Everett, good to see you as well. Michelle Ray, always good to see you as well. And Miss Charlotte Jordan, aka Miss Uncle Junior Mama, good to see you. Good to see you, and welcome to this evening show. Listen, if you are with us but have not got into the chat, by all means, get in the chat so we can announce you and welcome you. Because here on the Hearts of Men podcast, we want to celebrate you. I think that's one of the things that we don't do well in our community collectively. And so this is a place that will celebrate you, celebrate your accomplishments, and welcome you into the fold. So here we are again, back for round three when it comes down to these emotions and all this other great stuff, right? So what I would like to do before we get started, do a real quick recap of the past couple of weeks. So in week one, we defined emotions. And in essence, what I just want to do is just kind of get everybody back on track and just say emotional intelligence can be broadly defined as the ability to recognize, understand, and manage our own emotions, and to recognize, understand, and influence the emotions of others. So, bottom line up front, the easiest way to look at it is just intelligence is your ability to learn. That's the flat line, bottom line of what intelligence is all about. So, when it comes down to emotional intelligence, in essence, what we're talking about is having the ability to progressively get better with handling your emotions and being in settings to where you don't necessarily try to manipulate or control or do all of those other things that we tend to frown upon. All right. And then on that week, we continued along the line and we talked about some of the challenges of emotional intelligence. If you recall correctly, there were about 7 of them. I only addressed 3. So we talked about cultural differences, lack of education, and resistance to change. And then last week, we kind of peeled back the onion and we started talking about feelings. So, with feelings, we talked about 3 particular things as well. So, we talked about understanding different types of feelings. We talked about recognizing the triggers to our feelings. And lastly, we talked about practicing emotional regulation, which brings us to where we are today. Now, the problem, I believe wholeheartedly, despite the essential role that emotions and feelings play in influencing our decisions, behaviors, and overall well being, many individuals struggle to differentiate between these two interconnected phenomena. This challenge stems from factors such as cultural and language differences, a general lack of focused education on emotional intelligence, and the interchangeable use of the terms in everyday language. The resultant confusion hinders effective emotional regulation and understanding, limiting individuals' capacity for personal growth, improved decision making, and enrich personal and professional relationships. Consequently, there is a pressing need to enhance public awareness and understanding of the distinct nature of emotions and feelings and how to navigate their interplay for better emotional intelligence. So, since I have a panel of well educated, well versed gentlemen, what I would like to do is ask you a question. And my first question that I have for you, given these challenges that I just talked about, right? What strategies and resources can we utilize to enhance public awareness and understanding of the distinctions between emotions and feelings, and to promote the practical application of this understanding in fostering greater emotional intelligence? Don't worry, people in the chat, we coming.
Well, I guess one of the resources and strategies would be this: a group of men talking about emotions and having intelligence behind them. Because, like I always say, we have been taught that we are not allowed to feel without being called some sort of. We are not allowed to feel without without our masculinity being attacked. So this could be a strategy in itself, and the platform that we are on is a resource. So I guess
Now,
starting here.
now you stressed men, and I want to kind of, and you kind of touched on it just a little bit, but if you don't mind, kind of like just peel it back just a little bit more, because I want everybody to understand not what you mean by men. I think we got that part right, but why did you stress men? Why was that important?
Because for so long we have been taught that feeling emotions is not masculine. For so long we have been taught that we are just supposed to get over things. For so long we are taught that we are just not allowed to feel. And that is an issue. Like I said last week, we are all emotional creatures. It is not just women. Men are emotional creatures too. We just have to tailor our emotions with a little bit of logic. So seeing men logically break down the buzz phrase emotional intelligence on a platform like this that is accessible to the world could be where we start.
I like it.
I'll continue and kind of go out a little bit to go with just social media or the internet in general. The internet, in a lot of cases, gets a bad rep because of it just does because of a lot of people they'll waste time on the internet and they don't always use it as a tool or a way to advance themselves in life or anything like that. But the internet, it's people that's watching this show right now from their phone. You know what I mean? So the phone and the internet and social media is a great resource where what I mean where people can go. Hold on, let me back up a little bit because I lost the question and I want to make sure I got it right. Um, yeah, the resources. So the resource, yeah, the internet, just in general. Like back in the day, we had the encyclopedia, and regardless of what information we wanted to find, whether it's emotional intelligence or whether it was National Geographic, we had to go to the library and we had to thumb through books. Now we can pick up this $1,000 device right here that everybody has with them, and we can find a lot of great information. Yes, you do have to weed through the things that are not good. But the other side of that is, like Christopher said, you find podcasts such as the Empowered Perspective podcast, and you can go and you can find communities where there are people that are having conversations that are discussing different topics that help people gain a more understanding and help them gain an overall more just overall emotional intelligence in general.
I like that. I like the fact, because I think you're spot on. It doesn't matter what you use, right? There again, the law of polarity must exist, right? So you got the good and the bad and everything. Um, and so when you talk about the internet, sure, you can go to the internet and look at some of the most filthiest things you want to, if that's what you choose to do. Or you can go and select something that has the ability to empower you and uplift you and add value to your life. And we're in a space now, and I think we talk about it at Cyber Center of Excellence all the time, right? You have information at the speed of light, like you said, that cell phone, right? You can access anything in a moment's notice, and for us, it would take us weeks to research some things in depth. So yeah, I like the fact that you said that, and I think for those who are listening, that is something to be consistent with as you go through it. Even with TikTok, if you're going through TikTok, what you have to realize is the thing that you stop on and look at, that's what it's going to send you. So if you're stopping on, stuff like this, right, then you're going to get more of this. But if you're stopping on, I don't know, the twerk challenge or whatever the next thing is, then you're going to get more stuff like that. So you have to be aware of how to manipulate the thing that you're kind of spending your time with. But I greatly appreciate you sharing that.
Yes, sir.
I think if I'm gonna add anything to what you guys said, it would be people. Like other than the panel, people. We all know people who have gone through struggle and they travailed through that struggle. So they have a story to tell. And if you were just to sit and listen, you can see that they went through and they had emotional distresses and all these things. But there were ways and there were things and there were people and there were YouTube channels and such that they watched that something inspired them to keep going. So I think when you find some people in your life that you deem respectable enough to say, man, I can respect their journey, even though I don't know all about it. But if I can just bend their ear, if they can just lend it to me for a minute and I can sit down and listen and shut my mouth and open my ears, then I think we can all gain a level of respect and some responsibility for our own emotional intelligence.
See, again, so I like the fact that you said shut your mouth and open your ears. To me, I hate to sound like the finding the most negative thing in what you said, because I'm sure somebody didn't necessarily like that. But here's why I like that, because you can listen to something that somebody says, and you're going to listen from the perspective of the information that's going through your head. So if I have a negative mindset, and I'm not just using this because we've been talking about this for a few weeks now. If I have a negative mindset, then whatever you say, if I can take what you're saying and fit it into what I'm thinking, then that's going to be the thing I'm resonating with. I like the fact that you said shut your mouth and close your, you know what I'm saying? Shut your mouth and open your ears. Right. So we have to be consciously aware, like be all the way quiet and listen to the entirety of the message from start to finish, not just a portion of the message that served the story that you've been telling for years. Because the only thing you're doing is recycling the same information. You didn't extract the data. You just took out a aspect of the data that supports you, but that wasn't the data in its authentic nature. So that's why I like what you said there. So thank you for that. For me, I'm gonna go a different route because you guys gave some great resources and I like it. I am going to give a strategy, and that strategy is focus. Because if you look at everything these gentlemen just said, I need to focus my time, energy, and efforts on platforms like this. According to what Chris said, according to what Garfield said, I need to focus my time, energy, and efforts when it comes down to what's on social media. I need to focus my time, energy, and efforts to the people that I'm talking to. So, what do I mean? That means you give them your undivided attention. That means there is no such thing as multitasking, even though you think there is not. What you do is your brain go through cycles of on, off, and you think it's multitasking. No, it's not. It's just another way of not paying attention. So, like we practice in the program, give yourself 1 hour of day, non-interrupted time on one thing. And that's what we focus on. So if you do that, excuse me, if you do that for one complete hour, cell phone off, TV off, everything off, and you focus on that incrementally, because let's be honest, 1 hour is only 4% of your day. Incrementally, what you'll find is that will get into your psyche and you'll get better at that thing that you're focusing on. So, in conjunction with everything these gentlemen said, my strategy is focus. And what I do, I talk to lieutenants and captains about this all the time, and I ask them. And if you don't get anything else from this is a free chicken, right? What is your one word focus for the next 6 months? Now, focus can be the one word focus for if that's for you, right? But it could be, if, for example, this particular conversation, right? Emotional regulation. It could be listening, listening better, like Roland said. It could be finding a resource on social media that I want to spend my time with. Another key point is do not listen to too many people, because when you listen to too many people, that causes confusion. Find one voice and stick with that for an extended period of time. Like Chris said, right? Find a podcast like this right here and just listen to the entirety of the message. You're going to find commonality and theme. Commonality and theme starts to resonate. It's like a rhythm, right? If you think about it, you get in tune to a rhythm. Once you get in tune to a rhythm, then it all works out and you can reach a higher plane. It's just like, Roland, you play basketball, you get it. Like when you play ball, once you hit that, Chris, I think you play ball too, right? When you play, yeah, when you that much, okay. When you played ball, it was a rhythm you got into. Once you got into that rhythm, it just seems like everything was working. But when you're out of sync, you're out of sync. That's why focus is important. So, man, I love the way that you guys are starting this conversation off because I think that is a great way to set the tone. Let me see. I want to grab. I think Michelle Ray had a great point. You must be able to filter. You must be able to filter the foolishness from the positive things on your social media platforms. There are options to remove or elect not to see that particular channel. That's a good point. And see, I didn't know that. So I'm glad. I'm glad she said that. Go ahead, bro. You're muted.
You muted, Chris.
Listen, I have so many people that are my Facebook friends that I did not know were my Facebook friends until they liked a post or until their birthday came up, because nothing in their feed feeds me positively. Whenever I scroll through Instagram and I see something that has nothing to do with fitness, fatherhood, or being a husband, I remove it. That is a thing. So a lot, and Garfield said this before, you can control what you see on social media. It's not altogether a bad thing. It's just the things that you observe and the things that the algorithms send you because of what you observe turn out to be not so conducive to your growth. You can change I'm changing my algorithm right now. The more I say I am not interested in something, the more they send me what I am interested in.
I like it.
100% right there.
Yeah, man.
It says the algorithm. If you are on X, Y, and Z for a certain amount of time, the algorithm gonna be like, oh yeah, he liked with a X, Y, and Z. So they're gonna keep feeding it. So when people talk about, oh, social media is bad and this, and I keep seeing all of this stuff, I'm just like, that's the stuff you're interested in.
Right.
That's the stuff you want to see. The algorithm is feeding you exactly what you want to see. And the good thing about it, like, it can be a good thing and it can be a bad thing. I don't want to spin off too far, but the good thing about it is that you can get fed a lot of information that you want to see. The opposite of that is if you don't have a certain amount of emotional intelligence and you allow a certain amount of negativity to get into your feed or into your algorithm, and then you're constantly feeding that to yourself, that can cause a lot of destruction as well.
Absolutely. Ronald, you're about to say something, sir.
No, I was just going to say, I'm agreeing 100% with what they're saying, because everybody kept coming to me about these, I think it was 5 people in a submarine thing. When I first saw it and I read it, I went by it. And every time it came up, nope, don't want to see it, because I'm looking like, okay, this is about to be the next foolishness that's going to go on for the next couple of weeks. So I didn't even want to see it because I didn't want to entertain it because it added no value to me. So if it doesn't add value, and we have to, when things don't add value to you, you have to have enough gumph in you to push it to the side to say, okay, it's not feeding me, so I'm good.
Absolutely. I just learned what it was like yesterday. Okay, so we're going to keep pressing. Welcome to the conversation, Bernadette Simmons, Lisa Keys. Good to see you. And Lisa, you're absolutely right. As a man thinketh in this heart, so is he. So let's go ahead and take this plane. Let's get this plane on the runway. Understanding the distinction between emotions and feelings in their significant interplay is crucial for enhancing emotional intelligence, thereby fostering better decision making, personal growth, and enriched relationships. Despite prevailing challenges such as cultural variances and lack of targeted education, fostering a comprehensive understanding of these complex phenomena can empower individuals to navigate their emotional landscapes more effectively. highlighting the need for greater focus on emotional education and awareness in various social domains. The aim for this discussion is to create awareness of the interconnection between emotions and feelings. For those of you who are in the Empowering Perspective membership program, we will discuss in detail the inner workings between emotions and feelings, and you can use them to create the life that you've always wanted. Speaking of the Empowering Perspective membership program, it is your gateway to progression and self improvement. Through personalized resources, a supportive community of like minded people, and thought provoking content, we empower you to transform your perspective, unleash your potential, and embark on a journey of continuous growth through this e learning platform. This is not just a membership, it's a commitment to evolving your worldview, enhancing your skills, and enriching your life. Discover the power within. Join the Empowering Perspective membership program today. If you're on YouTube, look up under the screen, right? You'll see the join button. Just click on the join button, and there'll be a flyout, and it'll tell you all about the program. If you're on a mobile device, just look in the show notes, and you will see some more empowering content. Those are the links to some of the content that's actually in the program itself. So as we get into this, we're going to talk about more in depth about emotions, feelings, and decision making. And I stress the decision making part, right? Because emotion and feelings, while often used interchangeably, are distinct components of our internal experiences, and they are intricately connected. Emotions are our body's immediate response to a situation or stimulus, right? I want to make sure I'm stressing that. They are complex physiological states that involve three distinct components: a subjective experience, a physiological response, and a behavioral or expressive response. I want to make sure I'm stressing that clearly because I've been saying this for a long time and I know people don't like it. I understand it. Your feelings, although are valid, they're not reality. I've been stressing that for a long time, and this is the reason why. So, as we dive into this, we got three particular talking points that we're going to go over. We're going to first start off with the sequential connection. One of the first points to discuss is the chronological sequence of emotions and feelings. Emotions typically come first, triggered by an external event, and are instinctual and universal. Feelings, on the other hand, are an individual's interpretation of these emotions, influenced by personal experiences, beliefs, memories, and thoughts. This sequential process forms the basis of how we perceive, interact with, and react to the world around us. That being said, the question that I have for you gentlemen is, how might we differentiate between the physiological reactions that are typically associated with emotions and the personal interpretation or experiences which we term as feelings?
Emotions are natural, while feelings can be, you can have feelings that bias upon because of how you look at a certain thing, while your emotions may be, it's a reaction, but your feelings can come a little, well, I feel like this, but you feel like that because your emotions were reacted a certain way. So now it comes about where, because feelings can come where you have anxiety, or you have a lump in your throat, or you start to sweat or something like that. That those are just natural reactions, whereas your emotions attached to said thing are just natural, and you can't conjure it up. It's just a response off of what happened.
This is where I learn because I have no idea.
So let me take a stab at it. I'm still chewing on it. But here's what I'm looking at in my brain. I look at it as Chris is scared of clowns. I'm not. Right? We decide to go to a haunted house. Right? Because as soon as we get into the haunted house, Chris is probably going to have a certain amount of physiological reactions. He may start sweating. He may start getting a certain amount of anxiety or something like that, and I may not, because I'm not necessarily worried about the clowns, right? So there's a high likelihood that when we go into this haunted house, there are going to be some clowns in there, right? So I think, you know, if we're looking at some of the dif, how you say that word, man? Somebody say that word for me with the D.
Physiological.
No, differentiate.
Differentiating.
Oh, I got it. I said it. That's what I'm talking
There
about. I
you
spelled
go.
it out. Come on, man. That's what I'm talking about, man. Good boy, Mr. Martin. You know what I'm
That is a
saying?
win. That is a win.
That's my work name. You know, I think that's one way you can. I think, I don't know. I think maybe that's where I'm at right now with this question right now, is how I'm kind of creating an analogy in my head to kind of understand it a little bit more, before I can share a little bit more. But in your opinion, am I kind of close or am I like way off?
So I like where you started, to be honest with you, because I think what you'll understand as we kind of peel that back, you'll realize that some things were instilled in you. Case in point, I give you a perfect example: snakes. How many of you own a snake?
Used to.
How many you used to own? So you've been you okay? You too. So y'all special. So
Yeah,
Uncle
they
June,
special.
you ever own a snake?
Special.
No, yeah, y'all special. Y'all special. So Uncle June, you ever own a snake?
Never
So
wanted to.
what was your understanding of snakes growing up?
Man, snakes are bad, and plus the snakes was related back to the serpent back in the Garden of Eden too.
Precisely.
So it was
Exactly.
bad.
So with that being said, have you ever been around a snake?
Mm-mm.
But if I threw something on the ground right now in front of you that kind of looked like a little snake or whatever the case may be, what do you think your reaction would be?
I'm ready to kill it.
Right. That is an intrinsic thing that was instilled in you that you never had any experience with. That would be, so the thing that you feel, that fear, would be
Mhm.
emotion,
Yeah.
right? Your response to that snake would be your feelings. You see what I'm saying? And so I
Mhm.
think that's what's actually happening, because when you really stop and look at it, your feelings are the interpretation of the emotions that you feel behind the thing. This is why I always say, stop making emotional responses, analyze how you feel first, then make a decision. When you just respond off of their emotions, there is no logic that goes behind it. It is just a automatic response. So I hope that actually makes sense, because when you stop and look at it, I think that kind of adds in. I think Lisa Keys, she said, emotions are individuals responding to. I'm sorry, emotions are you. Emotions are individuals responding to the environment, someone, thoughts, or memories. I think yeah, I think I got it. And if I interpret that correct, she is absolutely right. So, but let me back up. So, not the response per se, the feelings that are expressed is the response, right? The emotions are more intrinsic based upon your beliefs and things. No, you're good. Based upon your beliefs, so forth and so on. So therefore, you can have a you can resonate with the thing without ever being exposed to the thing. You see what I'm saying? And with that being said, go ahead, bro. I see you.
I like where you went because, and no offense, but you find a lot of women who have friends that talk about other friends, and then when that said friend come around, they don't even know them, but oh, I don't like her. Your feelings towards her is that you don't like her, but you don't even know her. Just like with, your emotions aren't attached. Now you will attach emotion to it, but it shouldn't be, because you don't know the person, but you feel a certain way because of what you've heard or what your friend, someone you were close to, has said.
Yeah. That's actually called I think it's the theory of consciousness or something like that. Something like that. The enemy of my the enemy of my the enemy of my friends is my enemy. That's kind of like what that goes along with. But yeah, absolutely right. Absolutely right. So just if you look at it like that, emotions aren't the expression of. Emotion is just the understanding of a thing, based upon your belief system, whatever the case may be. This is why, and I don't want to go down this rabbit hole too much, but this is why you have to go back and rewrite the code, because there are things in you that actually have you with a scarcity mindset and you've never encountered a thing. But in your mind, you conscious bias, yeah, absolutely. But in your mind, you have already pre-programmed yourself not to be involved with a thing, to run free of everything, whatever the case may be. Like case in point, if a person presents an idea to you, because in your mind you already know, well, I'm like, my job is to provide and protect, and because my job is to provide and protect, I got a job, and my job is to pay bills and take care of my family, so forth and so on. So I automatically shut down anything outside of that, that it is not about provision and protection, knowing good and doggone well that I am so much more than that. So that's kind of like what it is. So you have to rewrite the code so those emotions don't drive your life. And you rewrite in the code so you can continue to rewrite those emotions to elevate them at a higher plane. The higher you can elevate your emotional threshold, the higher your feelings can actually be and actually work for you and not against you. So love it. Now that takes us to this one: understanding emotional reactions versus feelings. Yeah, we about to go there. Y'all ready? Okay. Our immediate emotional reaction.
Do it.
You can go ahead and play the scenario so they can start reading it. Our immediate emotional reactions might not always align with our conscious feelings about a situation. It's important to delve into why this may occur and how our past experiences and learned behaviors can influence this disconnection. Discussing this aspect can provide insight into your behavioral patterns and emotional health. So, the scenario: consider a couple who were never married previously, planning their wedding. The bride, for instance, might initially experience an emotional response of stress or anxiety due to the number of tasks that need to be handled. This immediate emotional response could trigger feelings which might last for several days. The first question, and I want Uncle Junior and Garfield to answer first, because Garfield, you just got married last year, and Roland, you've been married now for like 100 years. So, 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 in your opinion, I'm sorry, what are the potential feelings that may be expressed during this time, both bride and groom? Like, if you talk about the groom, what is his response to what she's going through?
Man, like you said, I just got married again last year. I should be a year next month. So just kind of went through this. We didn't have a lot of stress. I think initially there was, just because, like you said, there was a lot of anxiety because there was a lot of things that needed to be done. But honestly, the biggest thing I would say was some of the feelings that came, how can I say this in a nice way, from the feelings or thoughts that were had or expressed during the time when it came to family members, I would say, right? Because you're planning a wedding and you want certain people to be there, and then certain people want to have certain things to say. So what comes along with that is certain amount of stress that, if it's not channeled or if it's not dealt with, can cause a lot more bigger problems. So because the thing about it is this: that's a wedding, is supposed to be a happy time, right? So if the bride or the groom is having bad feelings about someone in the family because they maybe can't come to the wedding, or because they're being not so nice, you know what I'm saying, or want to input too much of their say so into your wedding, all these things can have a feeling on how you feel or how you think about that person that is part of your family.
But for me, I'm gonna be honest. The groom don't care about the wedding. He care how much it costs. That's it. That's it. We care how much it costs. And those were the feelings like, God, dog, we spending this on a cake, and we need another cake, and we need another cake. God, and we got to buy new this, and then your dress and your that, and you bringing your country relatives in. It's like, where they stand. Okay, so now for us, we're trying to control all the pieces, moving pieces, whereas now we're thinking, okay, we got to make this her day. it has to be special for her because we can care less. We can go down and talk to the little judge person or whatever, but she wanted a wedding, so we're gonna make it happen. Whereas she's thinking about, okay, does my dress fit? Okay, are the bridesmaid, how they gonna look? Is he coming up here? Is he gonna be drunk with all his friends standing here? Is the preacher gonna do? So she's thinking about those pieces where we saying, well, we can do without this. I mean, and so you aren't necessarily, most men I can say that I know aren't necessarily emotionally attached to the wedding piece because it's not about us. You stand up there and wait. Whereas she's like, women been thinking about this when they play with Barbie dolls. Barbie was getting married. If we played with little male and female dolls, we were being managed. We weren't thinking about the same things. So this is her day, and we just trying to make her happy and please her. Whereas she's trying to make it like the stuff she's seen on TV, and she gonna hear the music, and she wants you crying and all that other stuff. But yeah, it's totally different.
So
And
what
I
I'm-
think some of it is situational too. I think because like when you talk about stress and potential feelings, is sometimes women have those feelings. It's like, man, this is our wedding. We are getting married, but I have to do everything myself. You know what I mean? So I think that comes along with some of that too. So as a man, as the groom, how do you navigate, those feelings, and how do you support her? You know what I mean? I would just, speak from my personal situation.
Pay a wedding planner.
Huh?
Pay a wedding planner. Let them do that.
So
Show up.
like my wife wanted to do a lot of stuff, and her aunt helped her out a lot. And then she has a sister who's legally blind. So she was the best lady. What's they called?
Bridesmaid.
Bridesmaid, yeah.
honor.
Maid
The
of
maid of
honor.
honor, yeah, man. I forgot, man. So she was limited as to certain things that she couldn't do. So, I helped out in certain things, and then we got to plan a lot of it during the summertime. So I was off. So but generally I'm with Roland, and for the most part, me we kind of like just do it, write the check. I'm cool with everything. I'm cool with just standing up there. You know what I mean? I was cool with that. But in this one, that's what I did my first one. I just stood back. I just stood up there. But this one, I was a little bit more involved just because the situation was a little bit different. And we had to travel out of the state to do it. So
backyard barbecue, pergola, bro. Line up, let's go. So I know I'm with you, and I think, and you guys correct me if I'm wrong, because what I'm hearing you say, especially if I lean into what Roland said, you won't experience a lot of anxiety, even though she may experience a lot of anxiety. I guess my big question, and you gentlemen, because of your, most recent experiences, um, does that anxiety transfer like that? Because we're talking energy now. So does it kind of transfer? Do you feel a sense of anxiety because she's anxious? Like, I'm just kind of curious of what that looks like.
Definitely. Because while she's picking out, oh, I want this, I want that, I want that, she's stressed about not having it. So that transfers to you about making it happen. So now, because I'm thinking we can save this money and put this on this house and do this and do that. Whereas, because this is one day to me, it's one day. Not even a whole day. It's a couple of hours. And then you got to feed all these people that we bringing in. And so that's where my mind was. I can't speak for everybody else. And her stress, because you're trying to console, you're trying to calm, you're trying to do this. It's like, man, we got to be in this together, because if not, I don't want to see you come down the aisle because you done got on my nerves for two weeks.
Did he unmute himself to laugh?
I agree. I get that. I do believe that the anxiety and those things can transfer. You know what I mean? Absolutely. I think it's also how you deal with those things when those issues come up. At our wedding last year, my wife had ordered all the flowers, the bouquet, and all of those different things like that. Right. So we were there, I think 2 days before the wedding or something like that. So when the flowers finally came in, they were coming in from Utah, driving in. I think it was a 10-hour drive from Utah to New Mexico to Albuquerque in the heat. Right. So they were wrapped up. They had like these plastic bags over top of them. So we got them out, put them in the car, everything. And then by the time we got back to the hotel, like they was not good. Her bouquet was done, right? So she all upset and everything. So immediately, you know what I do? Picked up this thing right here, this $1,000 phone, and I got on the horn. And within 15 minutes or so, I'd had another bouquet that I had to go pick up the next morning. So yes, that anxiety can absolutely transfer, but it's what you do in those moments that's going to determine if it's going to be a long night or a long day, or it's going to be short and sweet and you can move on with your life. So yeah, it can transfer.
Justice of the peace, bro. That's how it happened for me.
Hey, this just confirmed everything that I thought. I always said that weddings, especially big ones, do not build equity. I would rather go down to the courthouse, say our I do's, invite the important people, and then have a big party afterwards.
Yeah.
No issues. No issues.
Yeah, I get it. So I mean, no, but I mean, real talk though. I thank you guys for sharing that because like Chris said, this kind of confirms some things in his head. I'm sure it kind of helped other people to think about what that looks like as well because these are more realistic situations than some can imagine. Miss Teresa Austin, welcome to the show. Marseille Hill, I hope I pronounced your name your name correct. Please forgive me, but welcome to the show. Laverne Tate, welcome to the show. Pamela Ruffins, welcome to the show. G. Jones, welcome to the show. Excuse me. So we're going to keep pressing because we got a couple other scenarios we got to get through here. And I think it's going to be good. So next is we're going to talk about harnessing the power of emotional intelligence. Now, excuse me. Now, and I'm sorry, that's the next situation. The next scenario is husbands, dads, and a family of 5. That would be you, gentlemen. You guys are the husbands and the dads. Role play. All right. So husbands and dads with a family of 5, 3 teenage children. Imagine being faced with a job opportunity that will pay you substantially more than what you're currently making and includes an unmatched benefits package. You are the sole breadwinner for the family, and this opportunity is the one you've been waiting for. You are excited to sit down with your spouse and share this great news with her. Question: what are the potential emotions and feelings that your spouse may possess upon hearing your exciting news, and what is your response?
Well, since we are role playing, I am going to be on the positive side of it, and I am going to hope that she is as elated as I am that I have a better opportunity to take care of the house. Hey, you know that job that I've always wanted? You know that salary that I have written on my vision board that I've been staring at for the past 3 years? Guess what? I just got double that. Plus, I have all of the benefits that we need for our family to thrive. You never have to worry about being unhealthy ever again. You never have to worry about a copay. You never have to worry about a deductible. You never have to worry about these things. Guess what? We can chill. I would hope that she would say, when do you start? I would hope that would be the thing. However, I do know that there is a flip side to it. So I kind of need a little bit more context. Does this job involve uprooting the entire family and moving them?
Yes.
Hey, we about to go.
You're already in
We about
trouble.
to
You know
go.
that, right?
Now, F that. Hey,
Listen,
we
you
are
want me to
about
tell
to
you why?
go. My cousin is a realtor. We are about to go. We about to put this house up for sale. So that way we have a little nest egg and we can just leave because this job, the kids are going to be in a better school and I can afford to put them in an even better school than what's in the district. We have resources now. I worked my butt off for this. We leaving. peace.
You're gonna get in a fight though. You know that, right? It's gonna be
Hey,
real. For you.
square up.
But I'm just saying. Here's why I say that though, because you keep saying I got this, and we. You see what I'm saying? I'm telling you, you're gonna, bruh, you're gonna have
No,
a
but what
long
I'm-
conversation
what-
tonight.
My vision
Really,
board.
what I'm saying
Yeah.
is, what I'm saying is, I got, and I say this all the time. My job is to provide covering.
Got you.
I got this, so I can cover y'all. Let's go. I'm about to call my cousin. We about to put this house up for sale, and then after we sell this house, actually, you can stay in it while I go down there and set up shop. Because if we're moving, then I have to go down there and make sure everything is prepared. So that way, all you have to do is come in and just come in. So you can stay here and do all of the extra stuff, but I'm about to go set up shop down here. We are leaving because this is a better opportunity for everyone that is within my covering. If you have an issue with that, go find somebody else to cover you. We can go downtown and handle that too. Since you want to act crazy. You understand what I'm saying? But we are not stopping. We are not doing this. We cannot not do this. It is beneficial for the whole. That is why I am here. For the whole. It is not about me. Me busting my butt to get this job was not about me. It was about you. It was about them 3 knuckleheads that we got in the other room fighting over that PlayStation 5 controller. Oh, we got 5 kids? I thought you
Yeah,
had
and
5.
some of them
and me, my
teenagers.
wife.
So they might be in high school and might not want to leave.
See,
But-
but I'm
Hey,
cool
I
with
was-
that.
Go stay with
I was
Granny.
waiting
We'll
on.
talk about that part later.
Hold on, yeah, I was waiting on the situation to evolve, but I do like Chris,
I'm
aka
out.
James
We are
Evans.
out.
You know,
Chris-
I agree with Chris
Yeah,
100%.
Yeah,
I just don't agree with the packaging of it. I think I would probably go into salesman mode, and I would do more we talk than I talk, and I would add her into. I would have a conversation with the older kids and her, and say, hey, hey, me and your mom, we gonna go down there, we gonna find a house, and we gonna do this. So I would add her, so there's more involvement with them, so that they feel better about it. Because we doing it. I'm with you, Chris. We gonna do it.
We
you
out.
just either gonna do it. It's like when the kids used to sit at the table. My grandma used to say, "You gonna eat it either wet or dry. You make the choice." So we doing it. You can cry about it, or we can just do it. But I would package it a little better to where they feel more involved. So I would go into Dr. Phil mode and let them know all the advantages, not just how I provide this, that, and the other, but they know that, hopefully. But this is an opportunity for all of us, like Chris was saying. And I think I agree 100%. I would just
That is what I would say. This is an opportunity for everybody, but I did this for us. That is
Right.
why I say I a lot. I did this because you are all under my covering. You are all my responsibility, no matter how you want to spin it. Legally, because I put my name on that piece of paper downtown, it does not matter. You are my responsibility. My job is to cover you. I have a better chance of covering you out here. So we need to go out here so that way we are better covered.
what you got on?
I get all of that. I will say this: if there is a vision that has been clearly articulated and both people had agreed upon it, and if he accepted this position, then he accepted it as part of that vision. And if that's his wife, she's not going to have any problem getting up and moving because she understands and agreed to the vision that has been articulated within said marriage. So, like we said, but like Chris said, there's a flip side of this. If you did not have that conversation, you may have some issues unless you are in the military. You know what I mean? For us, it wasn't an issue. Look, we leaving in 6 months. We going to Fort Hood. Hey, in 6 months, we going to Fort Bragg. Hey, and at whatever time we going to Fort here. You know what I mean? So that was just part of the process. But as a civilian, I can definitely see the challenges that can come from this when you haven't had that conversation and that opportunity comes up, because like Coach said, or in the scenario, there's 5 children you know, and if 3 of them are teenagers, where are they at in their life? You know what I mean? What if one is a senior, he's in football and he's getting looked at for offers to go to college or something like that? You know, so yes, on the surface we can talk about this, but you know, if we had more context, like Chris said, we could delve into it a little bit more. But there can those sometimes those feelings might be like, well, hey, look, you know, I ain't really trying to go to Utah. You know what I mean? The job might be in Utah, and right now we living in hot Atlanta. You know what I mean? It might be a totally different atmosphere. You know, maybe
That's the point.
yeah. But what I'm saying is that sometimes when you have a spouse and you're trying to raise children, living in certain areas may not provide some fun.
Now, this is a scenario I actually went through.
Okay, let's hear it.
When I came back from Iraq the last time, whatever, I was on orders to go. A month later, I was going to San Antonio. I had high school kids, you know, kids in senior, junior, you know, kids in high school. So uprooting them would have been a little stressful. It ain't like I was going down there to make more money. So what I had to do, I had to go down there solo and pay to be a roommate, you know. So I had to make that trip on the weekends back and forth and everything. And so we had to have a conversation. What was best for the family as a whole? What was more feasible? Because, you know, if we all get up and go, we gone. Too cool with me, no problem. I ain't losing no friends. You know how we do in the military. You Sergeant such and such, and you're gonna be Sergeant such and such when you get there. So you meet new people. But children don't always see it like that. Where I don't think that, I don't want to sound callous, but kids don't have a vote. And what's said, but they do have feelings, emotions, and everything attached to where they are. And if it's not going to really rock the boat, and we can get you through your senior year and so forth and so on, and then I'm coming back here, fine. But if we go into Utah and I got a better position, paying more, and it's not the military, and you know, I think Lisa asked, was she sounded like a housewife, a house provider and everything, which is not a demeaning position at all to me. I think it's the best position in the world.
That is the absolute best position in the world.
Because you make everything easier for the family as a whole.
You do all the stuff that I can't.
Yeah, we will have a conversation and make sure we do what's best, not for your feelings about it, my feelings about it, but as a whole. And we know that I've been working towards this. I think we got to go. We got to make that trip.
And see, that is what I'm saying. If you know I have been working towards this for the benefit of the whole, what is the holdup? Now, Unc, you did bring up something. What if my kid is a senior and what if he wants to finish high school? Listen, if you want to finish high school here, you go right ahead. I'll call one of your aunts. You can stay with them. You can come down here after you're done. I will come get you. But we are leaving. This is a better opportunity for them since you have already gone through your high school years and you got one more year to walk across the stage, and knowing how I am and knowing that I already have the vision up there, I have put you in the best position possible to either further your education or start something outside of your education where you don't have to really do too much except go fill out some paperwork and then get the funding. Hey, we'll sit and talk, because at that point you're a senior in high school. I can kind of talk to you like you are a grown-up. Not really, but I can, because you've already gone through the elementary school, junior high, high school thing. But everybody else, look, you a freshman, you a sophomore, you just now getting into elementary school, you just now getting into junior high, man, pack your stuff.
I'm sorry. As I'm listening to Chris, and this is more so his first response than it was this one. All I heard was, "Now, Florida, I done told you we're leaving. That's final." You know, I'm telling you, that's what I heard.
James.
And that is the
James.
bottom line,
Yeah.
because I said so.
Yes. Christopher said so.
I would tell you, I am definitely agreeing with all of this. And I definitely agree with rolling with the packaging initially. Um, and it just really seems as though this scenario is waiting on me to add some complexities to it. So I shall. So let's just say the three teenagers, ninth, 11th, and 12th grades, right? Of course, the 12th graders don't want to go anywhere because they're a senior. They've been there their entire high school career. And at the end of the day, they want to graduate with their peer group of friends. The freshmen don't really care because they don't even like school anyway. And then the junior is looking forward to the senior to leave so that they can become the senior and be, the big cheese on the block. So you got two kids who don't want to go, and you got one kid who is ready to go. Dad, you're ready to ride out because this job, like you said, Chris, it pretty much doubles the pay that you was making. I'm just gonna go with the Utah thing. We're going to Utah, right? But then mama's like, but the kids, they don't want to go. You know what I'm saying? So now, do you use your salary to pay for two households? Because remember, you're the only breadwinner. Like, what does that look like? Roland, I got your example, brother. I'm with you. You kind of already addressed that. So, to the other two, like, what does that look like? Do you pay for two houses in two separate locations?
No, that is a waste of money. Selling this house, we have family here. I'll talk to your uncle. I'll talk to your aunt. I'll talk to my uncle. I'll talk to my aunt. I'll talk to my elders. Hey, okay. She's a junior. He's a senior. They want to lock it up here. They want to finish here. But this job is going to help push everybody else. My freshmen don't care. My freshman is like, hey, I want to see something new anyway. I'm tired of being up under him. I'm up under them anyway. But the junior and the senior, let's talk. All right. I know you about to walk across the stage, and I know next year you are going to walk across the stage. You've already built this. If you want to stay, fine. I'll pack you up. You can move with them. But I am not paying 2 house notes. No.
I may be somewhat biased because I was in the military, and as Roland and Coach know, this is common, being separated from your family. So for us, I don't want to say it's not a big deal, and I don't want to make it seem like it's make light of it. But however, in this situation, what I would do personally is I would sit down and I would have a conversation. We probably come together, the meeting of the minds with everybody. I would end up having the ultimate final say so on it, probably along with a lot of great information that comes from my wife. You know what I mean? We have to figure this thing out. If I'm doubling my salary, I can afford, maybe I'll stay in a little smaller apartment up there in Utah, whatever, for a year or two, get my feet wet with the work. That means give me opportunity to focus more on the job, fly back in what I can, and maybe have a second household. Because I think that, at least for me, once you have kids and stuff like that, they don't have a vote, but they do have, like Coach said, they have feelings and different things like that, and they have lives. And like I said, if I got a senior who's a he's a football player, he's about to go to school, I don't think it would be fair to move him out when he has a great opportunity to go to a school and he need to be there. I'm just saying, if it could, I don't want to maybe necessarily risk that his coaches are there, his trainers are there, all these different things like that. So for me, I would possibly, if it worked out, or if that's what we decided to do, I would have managed the 2 households. But the household that I have in Utah would probably be a lot smaller because, ain't no use in, doubling all my money if I'm not gonna, if I'm living the same way, if all of it going out the door. So,
I'm Team Chris here. I'm Team James Evans, to be honest with you.
mhm.
But I seen something interesting, and I think that wasn't a question as though why is she? I think, and Miss Teresa Austin, let me know. I believe her question was like when she asked, like, why does she have to be a housewife? Like, if you want to stay, then stop being a housewife and go get a job, and you pay the house note that you. I think that's what she is saying. I could be wrong. Please help clear that up for me. And you know what? I'm sorry if that's what she is saying. I'm in violent agreement. I'm in violent agreement with her because at the end of the day, I'm not paying no two house notes. I'm sorry, just not gonna happen. It kind of defeats the purpose for me us moving to get for this higher paying job. I didn't get a higher paying job to pay for two houses in two separate locations because these kids don't want to move because they want to feel popular. I think that's a parenting and I want to make sure I'm clear. This has nothing to do with anybody else because Lord knows I done made several mistakes as a parent. But I think that's more of a parenting concern, right? If my kids are in a position to where they want to be popular, they want to be known, they want to be praised, all this other great stuff, that's on me. You see what I'm saying? I need to teach them this thing called humility. I need to teach them this thing called servant's nature, right? And I got it. Every teenage goes through this. But I think from the perspective of the scenario, I'm kind of curious. And again, please continue to share your perspectives in the chats. I'm kind of curious because I know for a fact, like Uncle Junior said, we military folk, we've been through this. We've done this. And I'm gonna be honest with you, I wasn't paying no two house notes. Ain't happening, Chief. Get in the truck. Let's go.
Not to mention, I did not get this higher paying job for you to not still be the woman that runs my house. I did not get this high paying job for you to work or have to work. Why would I do that? My job is to make you as comfortable. Listen, I always said this. When I get married, my wife, she can have a job if she wants to, but she is not going to have to, because I am sick of the whole narrative of we always do what we got to do, but we don't always do what we want to do. I don't want to struggle. Okay, you're not struggling no more. You are not struggling anymore. I just doubled my salary and I got the best benefits in the world. You do not have to do anything. Why are you making this complicated? Or do you want to work? Because if you want to work, we can go ahead and be roommates and you can go buy your own house and I can go down here and do what I need to do and work the job that I busted my butt for to make sure that you didn't have to do what you pushing to try to do. No. I am not doing it. Yes, because I did this for us. It is for us. I cannot stress that enough. I say this all of the time. It is not about me. It is about the whole. It is about the unit. It is about everyone that I bring into my covering. Why would I want you to do all of that extra stuff that I already sat you down and told you did not have to in the first place? Why are you making this so difficult? Pack your stuff. Let's go. We can go experience some other stuff.
Yeah. Again, I'm agreeing with you. Let's get after some of these chats, man, because they was over here blowing it up. I'm going back. Mark, I hope I'm saying the name right. Marseille Hill, Roland. I think that's from your hood. Say bye Detroit. We out. I love it. I love it. Let me see. Miss Teresa Austin says, so when do we move? No decision to be made there. Is it is it more hours away from home? I think you're asking that in relation to the new job. Um, I don't even think he would know that until he gets there. You really don't learn how many hours it really is if it's just especially a salary job until you actually get on site. And in most cases in the beginning, you're going to spend more hours away initially just so that you can get a good understanding of that. Does the wife have a job or career? Nope. She is he is the sole breadwinner. Anything other than that response would be selfish. At Chris's response, I agree. You're the head, so we will follow Chris. Yes, when we moving. Yep. So again, I love it. In this scenario, she is a housewife and she is a provider, right? And he is a provider, right? Absolutely. Amen. Get somebody else to do it. So one of them TikTok things. Gotta go. All right, very good at rolling. I like that packaging. I think she was talking about the way Chris said what he said when we call it the packaging. We are the parents. They go where we go, where he goes. I think that's more so about the kids. Very good. Miss Charlotte Jordan says she may be upset because that's a big move and she's got to give up what she feels is a lot.
Nope.
and again, remember we're talking emotions and feelings. So that is a valid point. She may feel that way because she's created a kind of like a comfort zone in the surrounding. And I think that's part of what this is all about. Even with the kids have a comfort zone at school. So all of this is stepping outside of comfort zone, which the internal emotions is going to be different. There's some anxiety exists there. So they don't want to move. That's just kind of like what it is.
That's why it's a partnership, and we
Yeah.
discuss it, even though the end result should be this, because she has to see it. But sometimes people, because she is probably in her feelings about this, because feelings are attached to her home, because she's a homemaker, her children's school, she might be PTA and all that other stuff, but she can do that where we going.
Yeah.
Upset and feels.
Upset and feels. I love it. I love it. And again, I got it. And this may require, and I think Roland, you said it. This may require us sitting down and having a very detailed conversation because we're gonna have to come to some type of happy medium here, right? And for me, like I said, two households ain't the answer. So I get it. Either I not take the job, which is probably not going to happen, or you step outside of your comfort zone and come with me because that's the overall vision. Like somebody was talking about here in the chat. Let's see. Let's jump down to I think Miss Crystal Everett. I think her parents moved from Jersey to Georgia when she was a senior in high school. My mom and I stayed in Jersey until I graduated, and then we moved here with my dad.
Right. That is that would be the scenario. If that is what she wanted to do, if she is a senior, you've already put in the work at this high school and you about to walk. I am not going to take that away from you. I am not that selfish. I would not do that. We would discuss it. Do you want to graduate from here or do you want to graduate from here? If you want to graduate from here, we can set something up so that way you can stay here. And then when you're ready, come on down.
Yeah, so just being open. You saying what you're saying is you're open to having making other arrangements for your children in the scenario.
Right.
If they wanted to stay or some of this. But like you
Right.
say, we ain't having two households. But like you said, you go stay with auntie or pop or somebody like that. Yeah. I
And
get
you
that.
make temporary
Temporary.
and because
Yeah.
kids are temporary. They gonna leave the
Yeah.
house.
Yeah. And like
Same
even in my
principle you
scenario,
do.
like if he was a senior in high school playing football, like that'll be a temporary. Like maybe they stay temporary, but it ain't going to be like for years and years and years.
Right.
Maybe they stay there through football season and then everybody move up or something like that.
Right. And
But
like
it
when I
wouldn't
was in
be
San
it
Antonio,
wouldn't
it
be
was
3
supposed to be
years
my
like the
last
army.
my last duty. That was supposed to be my last duty station. I was 20 and I'm out. Just so happened they put me on orders to go to Alaska and all that other stuff. But yeah, I was doing 20 and out, so that was the plan.
Yeah.
Hey, am I Shannon Sharp face? Not happening. I'm just saying, not happening, Chief. Get in the truck. We're about to go.
Get in the truck.
That's it. Let me see. Where was I at? I think Michelle Ray was next. I experienced this situation when I retired from the military, and my daughter was still in college. I sacrificed paying rent for a year in the DMV while residing in Georgia. Next is Bird Nest. Welcome to the show. Welcome to the show. I've lived this scenario as a former military brat. My father paid for two households. Ooh, man, I get it. I get it.
Would not be me.
Yeah, I get
I
it.
want to know in those scenarios, did it pay off? I mean, I know they can't answer it, but I want to know, did it pay off for them at the end of the day? Having those two households and different things like that.
Yeah, I think
Just
I'm
in
sorry, go ahead.
general.
I know for me, looking back, I wish I would have moved everybody. I wish I would have moved everybody because San Antonio had better opportunities all around than little bitty country Killeen. So I wish I would have just up and moved everybody. But can't go backwards. My grandma used to say, wish in one hand and something in the other, see which one fill up.
I know that's saying oh too well.
What you do on the other hand? No, I'm
Ice.
just playing.
You nothing. You do nothing in the other hand.
Chocolate ice
I
cream.
absolutely love it here. I love it
Fill it
here
up with
so
chocolate
much.
know,
ice
right?
cream.
Yeah, I
You got an
think,
emoji.
and I like the fact that you brought that to the table, Roland, and I think it's definitely situation by situation, right? One situation may have the ability, because you don't, here's what we don't know. Like, say for example, we don't know your spouse, we don't know what your spouse did in your, doing your separation, things of that nature, especially in this day and age. Like, you might be FaceTiming every night, all types of stuff. So I definitely believe that there are some things that you can do to offset the tension. But there's definitely going to be some added level of added tension. And then, how committed are you to the vision as well? If that person in that, during that separation, if the other person is 100% committed to the vision, trust me, you know that. So that's why I say I believe it's definitely case by case, and it's not about whether they're committed or not committed. It's like, I don't want to go to another state to come see y'all. I want to come home and see y'all. You know what I'm saying? I think that's just how it should be. In my life, in life, for our family, we make sacrifices, but they should be something that is discussed for the family's vision. Absolutely, absolutely. Okay, let's get one more. Miss Verlene McCoy, I've seen it. Moving or relocating with children was the best thing I ever did. So yeah. So again, I'll take her advice any day of the week, because she is definitely my senior, and I respect everything that she says. So absolutely. Okay, let's dive into the next order of business. Um, Harnessing the power of emotional intelligence. Now, Garfield, is in your lane, brother. All right. So the final talking point is about how understanding the synthesis of emotions and feelings plays a crucial role in emotional intelligence. By recognizing the differences and interplay between our emotions and feelings, we can better manage our responses to emotional stimuli, improve our communication in relationships, and make more empathetic and informed decisions. It is also essential in understanding others' emotional states and responses, fostering empathy and effective interpersonal interactions. So the scenario is, imagine you're a middle school teacher and you've noticed that a student in your class, Sam, has been quieter than usual for the past couple of weeks. You see him withdraw from the group. You see him withdraw from group activities, and he seems less engaged in class. As a teacher who understands the importance of emotional intelligence, you recognize these as signs of emotional distress and decides to use this opportunity to help Sam harness his emotions and feelings for greater emotional intelligence. Gentlemen, the question is, what are some signs that may identify people who might be struggling with identifying their emotions?
Um, well, let me see this. So first of all, actually, I'll answer the question first, then the scenario, then probably go back to the answer again. So some of the signs could be somebody struggling with identifying their emotion. Could be just closed offness. If that's a word. Just kind of sort of going introvert, maybe spending more time to themselves, not wanting to be around certain people, more antisocial behaviors, different things like that. That could just be one. You can Google a whole plethora of different signs um, that you can see that may identify someone who might be struggling with their emotions. But I will say this, in this scenario, it's this is middle school. So these students at the middle school level are going through so many different changes. They're trying to learn themselves, trying to figure things out. A lot of them, they just left from, sixth graders just left elementary school. They don't know who they are, or anything. They used to being the big dogs in fifth grade, and now they roll right over into being the babies again in sixth grade. So, and sixth graders versus eighth graders are totally different human beings. So I would say that for the teachers, did not automatically assume that just because you see certain signs that they're automatically negative, because students at a certain age, there's a certain level of development that comes with that, and certain behavior that come along with certain level of development. So it not necessarily that this student could have an issue, but what I would say in the situation with the teachers, that to try your best to build a relationship with that student, because there is something wrong, then you want at least for that student to be able to have a safe place where they can go and talk to somebody, or even maybe refer them to the school counselor like me. But Yeah, back to some signs, man. Some of the signs I may identify, could be the introvertness. I think, I'm gonna stick with that one because it's easier sometimes to just not deal with those emotions, especially when you're in middle school and you may not know how to deal with these emotions because some of the emotions that they're experiencing in middle school they're experiencing sometimes for the first time. Like this may be the first time that someone he may have had his heart broken for the first time. He don't know what to do. So, and this may be why this student may be going through this. So, if you build a relationship with this student, it may help um, get some of that information out to where you can be better to support that student. But like I said, being withdrawn and antisocial is one of the big signs that you can see when somebody may be struggling with identifying their emotions. Hopefully, I wasn't too long.
No, not only were you not too long. I mean, I liked your response. I mean, as a school counselor, this is kind of like your field. But I want to play devil's advocate just a little bit. As a parent, should I be offended? Because I mean, you're kind of going into, and I'm just asking, should I be offended because you're going into something other than what your profession is? I mean, if I want my child psychoanalyzed, I take my child to see a counselor.
Well, from the teacher's point of view, building a relationship is just building a relationship.
Right.
In the school, we all, most of us want our children to have a safe place to be able to talk to somebody about their emotions if they can't talk if they don't have anybody to talk to. You know what I mean? Because we all like to think that our kids want to talk to us about everything, but the reality of it in the years that I spent counseling, kids don't tell their parents a whole bunch of stuff. A
Right.
whole bunch of stuff we didn't tell our parents. You know what I mean? But I definitely understand where you're coming from and feeling like that people are like kind of sort of in your lane and psychoanalyzing. But that's not necessarily what counselors do, and teachers should not be doing it as well. You
Right.
know what I mean? So yeah.
And that's exactly why I asked that question, because some teachers can be accused of doing that or doing too much or
Yep.
getting too much into family business. And I think for the most part, I think a majority of it exists in the safe zone of doing my job, but then there are some that go too far to the left and too far to the right. So we just got to be super careful, especially when dealing with children, right? And plus,
Agreed.
my child might be a little disappointed because I told mama and his sister and brothers that we all getting ready to leave. So he might be mad and when you talk to nobody. So that might be a situation as well.
Yeah.
But
And the thing about with the counselors, like as if you talk to school counselors, like by law, I'm not allowed to share anything with you, with the parent about it. So unless it involves someone being hurt, I can't even share it with your child. Tell me that, hey, yeah, I went and stole $20 out the coach's wallet last night, and I went and bought a whole bunch of Pokemon cards. Like I can't call you, but like, you know what your son did last night? Like I can't even bring it up.
Really?
Absolutely.
I did not know that.
don't
School
worry about it.
counselors we are we are by law and by job and by a license, we're not allowed to discuss what we talk about with the children with you unless they say it's okay for us to share information with them. When we
So that's
first
kind of
talk to
like
them, it's
so
confidentiality.
yeah, so yeah, that's kind of like lawyer-client privilege. I did not know that. Wow.
Hmm.
That right there would kind of make me emphasize making sure that my child can trust me,
Hmm.
because I would not want my child to do that, and I would not want to know what is going on in my child's life or in my child's head when he or she is going through this. I would want my child to trust me with that. So, to Coach's point, I guess I would be kind of hurt because it's like my child doesn't trust me, but I would have to remove my ego and say, all right, at least they're talking to someone. I cannot be mad at that.
And to that point, like I like what you just said, because remember, we're talking emotions and feelings, right? So as a parent, who now understands that my child is opening up to Mr. Martin, who's a school counselor. Mr. Martin ain't went through them 9 months of labor pains, or Mr. Martin ain't been through all them sleepless nights I went through with that child and all kind of other stuff like that. So who in the world that's no, I need to go in there and talk to Mr. Martin. Mr. Martin gonna tell me what my child. You see what I'm saying? So that's the other side of it as well. So those emotions that are festering inside, you can't allow the feelings to come out in the way the emotion feels. Sure, this hurts. This is what's going on, right? Relax, take a deep breath, right? Ask yourself why you're feeling that way. And then once you come to an answer, then go in there and talk to Mr. Martin calmly. You know what I'm saying? What can you tell me then? You know what I'm saying? Don't tell me what you can't tell me, bro. Just tell me what you can tell me, right? Because no, Mr. Martin, he understands his left and right limits, but he also understands how to keep the parent informed to the degree that they need to be informed without jeopardizing his job and without putting the child in danger. And I think that's the right way. Yes, sir.
Or they can go to Mr. Martin and say, all right, I know my child came to you with something. What do I need to work on to get my child to open up to me the way that they opened up to you? What are you doing that I might not be? Let's partner that way. I cannot allow my ego to get involved in this because
Yep.
my kid is more important. I am glad that they are talking to you, but I need to know what I need to do better. So help me help them, because it is about them. It is not about me.
Yeah. And I think that's kind of like what I was going with asking Mr. Martin, what can he tell me? Now, I'm establishing a partnership with him. So now we're going to have that two-way dialogue. Go ahead, Roland. I'm sorry.
No, I was just agreeing with you because I think that it's a partnership. Because if I find someone that genuinely cares and has a concern for my child, we working together. You may not, and I understand that because I was in the medical field. I understand you can't tell me everything, but if I can get to a point to where I know that you won't deter him or her from getting better, and you gonna give them sound information, I'm good with that. But
Yep.
because I went to the doctor with one of my daughters one time, and I think she was 11, and the doctor gonna tell me, "Well, I can't tell you that." What? You can't tell me? Like, I'm in the room. What you like? Okay, and that threw me off because I'm like, how can you not tell? Like in the state of Texas, if your child is young and they going to get an abortion, they ain't got to tell you nothing. Well, used to. They just changed abortion laws and stuff. But they don't have to tell you anything. So it's like it's crazy that they try to remove the parenting from the parent. But I think when you find adults that are good in judgment and have a love and respect for you and your children, I think you work together. You don't work separately. But when I think about identifying people who struggle with identifying their emotion, you will notice that they have emotional outbursts. They they are short-tempered, emotional outbursts, and don't necessarily have a lot to say concerning whatever it is that they are dealing with, especially with you. And a lot of times they might not want to talk to you because if they talk to you, there's a disappointment factor in there. So they don't necessarily want to disappoint the parent. So that's why they may want to talk to Mr. Martin. So I may just have to, let them know, hey, you ain't letting me down by opening up to me.
Yeah. And if I can add to what you're saying as well, maybe my parenting habits have created a void, right? Because sometimes we overpunish a child when it comes down to certain things, and children can feel like they're being punished for everything that they do. Therefore, sometimes they withdraw and become secluded. And so, Mr. Martin is that adult at school that always asks my child, "Hey, how's it going? How's it going? Come on in here, let's talk real quick." You know what I'm saying? Mr. Martin treats all the kids like that. He's nice to everybody. And so when my child sees Mr. Martin, say, "Hey, Mr. Martin, what's going on?" They're bouncing off the wall. So now there's that bond, and he's, what's wrong? What's wrong, little Timmy, or whatever. And so now he's talking to Mr. Martin. Well, do your dad know? No, I can't tell my dad. Well, why not? So that's what I'm saying. Like, so when we overpunish a child, and I'm using that term intentionally, when we overpunish the child, what ends up happening is that child kind of withdraw and becomes secluded and don't really tell us the things that we feel they should tell us, simply because they're fearful. And again, that's those bottled up emotions that they cannot resonate with and don't know how to process that to such a degree that it does not prevent the divide as well. So I like where Roland went with that. Chris, you had anything else, brother? No? Uncle Junior had anything else since you to start a segment?
Oh man, I hate to start, but
Yeah, man.
you
You look-
guys added, it was added a lot of value, and what you said was, pretty spot on. You know what I mean? There are parents who like, I really want to know, and then, so kind of what I do, it's like, Roland said, there are some ways that you can kind of give parents information without giving them information.
Mhm.
Say, hey, these are, trying to, hey, spend more time with your son. You know what I mean? Your son really loves you. You know what I mean? The son might have told me, "Oh, never spend no time with my dad. I miss my dad so much." And sorry about that. And I just may tell the parents, "Hey, look, whenever you get an opportunity, try to spend as much time with your kid as you can. Building a relationship with your son is invaluable. Like that's something that is going to be forever there, and he will greatly appreciate you for that when he becomes a young man. He's going to be glad that you was in his life, and like I said, sometimes, if I do feel like that it is something or think that it's something that's kind of touchy or that I think that the parents may know, I can always ask the kids, say, hey, look, just based off of some concerns, I want to make sure that your parents are okay with this. You know what I mean? They've shared with me some concerns about something. Are you okay with us having a conversation with them, or are you okay with me sharing this part of our conversation
Yeah.
with them? So I still have to get, excuse me, their blessing before I share any information with the parents and stuff like that. But everything that you guys said was pretty spot on, So yeah.
No, that's good, man, and thank you for adding your expertise during this particular version of the conversation too, because I think you're absolutely right. I think as parents, I believe parents need to hear things like this when the child is still young, like pamper stage, right? You need to understand that if you do not have that connection, that connectivity, that ability for smooth communication to happen, then you may run the risk to where they don't talk to you, and then when they talk to the school counselor can't tell you everything that they tell them. So they need to understand that, and hopefully that should deter some of those inappropriate disciplining techniques. That's what we're going to call them.
Oh
Yeah, I
yeah,
just
and
learned
real
something.
quick,
So absolutely.
and real
Absolutely.
And real quick to kind of Roland's point is some of the reason why you probably know the reason why we don't share a lot of certain information with the parents is for the child's safety. How many times have we grown up, whatever stay in his house is stay in his house. And then now little Leroy go out and tell Mr. Martin something at school, you know what I mean? And then I go back and tell, Mr. McClellan what happened to his son at school, and then now you like, what did I tell you? Didn't I tell you don't be going around telling people about what go on in this house? And now you and your little son, now your son got an issue. Now I just called your little boy to get a whooping, and now the safe place that he had at school he no longer has. So now he can't talk to dad and he can't talk to Mr. Martin. So he don't have nobody to talk to now
Yeah.
when he needs to express or talk about some of his emotions or feelings or something like that that he may be experiencing.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Great response, gentlemen. I appreciate that. As you know, this is one of those times that's bittersweet for us. But before we get ready to dive into these final thoughts to allow these gentlemen to get their thoughts together, we have an announcement to make. So here it comes. And it's coming. We got shout out to the Uncle Junior Network for being a part of the Empowering Perspective membership program. Again, listen, if you haven't figured it out yet, the Empowering Perspective membership program is an awesome program. Look up under your screen, you see the join button, click on the join button, you get all types of information of the 4 levels in the program itself. And these are some of the things that we talk about in detail. So without further ado, that takes us to our bittersweet moment, the final thoughts. these gentlemen already have our marching orders and the direction in which we're going to go with this. So, with that being said, we're going to start off with the youngest gentleman on the planet, not the planet, on the platform.
My final thoughts are this was a great series. You heard men logically break down what emotional intelligence is and how men should handle emotional intelligence. I pray to the divine creator that this is no longer a buzz phrase and that this is something that we take seriously, because these young boys, these young men, a lot of the older men need to understand what emotional intelligence is and actually act on it instead of using it as a buzz phrase whenever somebody disagrees with them, saying that they lack it. This was a great series, and this is something that needs to be referred to. Those are my final thoughts.
I'm going to stick with the topic. The topic is harnessing small wins for greater emotional intelligence. In order to get to a certain level of emotional intelligence, it's almost like walking or just a marathon, right? Every step that you take along the way is you gather another piece of information. And along the way, the more information, the more experiences, the more different things that you have, eventually, you know what I mean? Well, I don't mean eventually, you continue to build on your emotional intelligence. Going back and looking at the process and the journey that got you there is great as well, because you can go back and fine tune and make micro adjustments to continue to grow in your overall emotional intelligence. I just think, like Chris said, this has been a great conversation. Having men come in here and break down what emotional intelligence is based off our different experiences, different life adventures, and everything like that. So I'm done.
Wow, this was a great series, and I loved every minute of it. I think that everyone should find someone that they can trust, that they can build trust in, and talk to. Even if you talk once a week, once a month, something, find somebody that you can learn from. And I was always told about those three friends, and y'all heard that before. But find you some friends that pour into you, that you can pour into, that you can actually dialogue with. And when it comes to your emotional intelligence, build up your library. And so you can start to build yourself, because when you build yourself, you just can't work out physically. You have to work out mentally. You got to read books. You have to look at things that edify you and uplift you. And when you start to build yourself up, you'll see that you feel better about you. And when you feel better about you, then you'll notice that the things that you allow to happen around and to you won't be things of negativity, and you won't even watch negative things, and you won't have time for it. And when you find yourself learning who you are, you won't accept those things, and you will find yourself with a state of consciousness to realize that, man, it's not about me being so intelligent that I got to read a book to find out who I am, because I know who I am now. And so now my emotional intelligence is capped where I don't react off of everything someone else does or says. Now I can just be, because I know who I am. So if you call me a name, it doesn't matter, because I don't identify with it. So learn who you are and continue to build yourself up. When you build yourself, remember, it's more than just physical, it's mental and emotional.
I love what these gentlemen are saying here. I want to start off this segment by saying that you will never behave consistently in a manner that is inconsistent with your programming. That's just it. You can say whatever it is you want to do, but if you're not actively doing anything to rewrite the prior programming, what you're currently doing is going to be inconsistent. This is why we stress the fact within the program that we do things consistently, because that helps people to rewrite the code within. And as they're rewriting the code within, they're finding that their responses are different than what it was prior to, and they're literally surprising themselves. And that's what we're talking about. That's what you just heard these brothers articulate, and that's what we have to understand. So again, our challenge to you is join us when it comes down to this thing that we call life. This is the key. Stop allowing life to happen to you and set yourself in a position to where life happens through you. So with that being said, we just want to thank each and every one of you for joining us. We appreciate what all of the chats, man. You guys are awesome. Traveling geek. I didn't even see you in there. Welcome and good to see you. Always good to see you. You guys be lighting up the chat. Shout out to my brother John Washington. Welcome as well. Right. We greatly appreciate you every week that you join us. And with that being said, we're going to be here again next week, right? Same time, same channel. Let me see if I can convince these dudes on to talk about something along the line. I think we got one topic. We're going to compare that to another topic because we want to talk about conflict resolution when it comes down to verbiage, communication back and forth. That's what I'm going to try to convince them to. We'll see what we can do. So listen, you guys have a great rest of your evening and have an even phenomenal weekend. And don't forget, tomorrow morning, 10:30, we're doing it again, me and Miss Oneida. So we'll see you guys then. Have a great night.